Hello, this is Drapion, coach of the San Francisco Cinderace, and today I have my team builder for the finals. We've made it all the way back to the finals for our second season in a row. It's against our same opponent we played last season in the finals, the Boston Bidoofs. Close game, I probably could have won it. Little misplay on my end. I'd have to say in comparison I'm not feeling quite as confident as I was going into that one. I've had a lot of stuff to do this week and haven't had as much time to prepare as usual, but I've put my team together and what I think he's going to bring. So let's go what I think he will bring first. So his team, it's comprised of Corviknight. This should be the G-Max version, but I forgot to switch it. Conkeldurr, Rotom, Goodra, Araquanid, and then for C tiers, I want to say it's going to be, let's see, Drapion, Frostlass, Quagsire, and Rhydon. That's right. So, on terms of what I think he's going to bring, Corviknight's a for sure thing. Like, basically, these four, guaranteed. These two are up for debate. So let me go over these four first. So, Corviknight, the set I'm thinking he's going to bring, it could be defensive or special defensive, but I'm expecting the HP investment, negative special attack. It's going to have Brave Bird Ironhead for the stabs, and then some sort of setup. It could be Taunt. If he brings any speed for whatever reason, he'll probably be faster than Grimmsnarl, and Taunt could be useful to stop me after I get like one bulk up or something like that, because Prankster would still let me get one, unless he catches me on the switch. So Taunt is a possibility, Roost is a possibility instead of something like Substitute. We'll see about that. I don't expect him to bring Mirror Armor. I don't really have anything that wants to drop his stats. At least, there's nothing that's like Intimidate. There's a couple moves I bring that it's a possibility, but I don't see that being big enough reason to bring it, so it's probably going to be Pressure. It's going to give a couple things problems. Grimmsnarl is one of them. It doesn't want to fight it. It's doable if I get bulk ups off, but he still doesn't really want to fight the Corviknight, so best case scenario, I get it out of the way early, but the way he plays, it's going to stick around, so it's going to give me some trouble. Conkeldurr's up next. I believe it's every week he's run max HP, max attack. Max speed isn't too threatening. It still comes out at like 90, I think. So it's not that fast, so he doesn't have a real reason to invest in it. The big change, he ran for the first time something other than Flame Orb. He ran Choice Band last time, so it's a possibility. Although I don't see him wanting to lock himself into moves with my Aegislash around, because if he goes for any fighting move, Aegislash gets to come in for free with Choice Band. So I think it's going to be Flame Orb. At the very least, it's not going to be a choice item, I don't feel. So I'm thinking Flame Orb, Guts. I'm saying Close Combat just because while Drain Punch is nice, I think he's going to want to just weaken my stuff, get it out of the way. Mach Punch for cleanup. His semifinal match he won because of Mach Punch. So it's a very useful move. I think he'll bring it again. I've got good ways to deal with it, but it is something I need to keep in mind. And then I think he's going to bring Earthquake, Poison Jab. Because two of my big things that give him trouble would be Aegislash, Grimmsnarl. He's going to want a way to hit those. Maybe even Sigilyph, so he could switch one out for a rock move, but I think this is more likely. I don't think he's as worried about Sigilyph. So I'm thinking that's going to be the Conkeldurr moveset. It's going to give a lot of my team problems. I'm going to need to catch it on the switch or have enough things that I can sack to bring something in for free. It's going to hit like a truck no matter what set it brings, if it is Banded, if it's Life Orb or Flame Orb, or even if it's like an Expert Belt set with Sheer Force, it's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to catch it out somehow. It's going to be tricky to deal with because it's coverage to hit everything I have that wants to switch in. It can hit the Aegislash with Earthquake or something like a Fire Punch. It can hit Mr. Grimmsnarl with Poison and Steel coverage, and it can hit Sigilyph with Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Stone Edge, any of those sort of moves. So he can't bring all of them, granted, but I'm going to have to get a feel for what he's bringing before I can switch something in safely. So it's going to be a problem. Moving on to Rotom. He's got Rotom Heat. I'm guessing it's either going to be Specs or Scarf. One of the two. Life Orb's a possibility with Nasty Plot, but I think a choice item is more likely. The moveset's going to be pretty standard. Overheat, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp. Taunt or Nasty Plot is also a possibility, but I think he's going to bring Will-O-Wisp. He's going to want to burn a couple of my physical attackers, especially after last time where things like Flygon gave him problems. I think Will-O-Wisp was coming for sure. The speed investment is going to be 252, almost certainly, unless he's bulky. But I don't think bulky is that big of an improvement. I'll still be able to deal with it, and especially not if he's choice specs, he's not going to be bulky. So that's only if he brings Maybe a leftovers bulky Rotom, that sort of thing. Rotom is tricky, but I have a good way to deal with it this time through. I have a couple good ways, so I'm not as worried about it as I was last time, but it's still going to be trouble. Moving on to Goodra. After I caught him, I don't know why I'd say caught off guard. He seemed a little surprised by it in the battle video that I was carrying Psyshock to deal with Assault Vest Goodra. I think it's a good possibility he brings an offensive set. So if he doesn't Scarf anything else, I think his Goodra is a pretty good candidate to be Scarfed. Because like Conkeldurr, it gets enough coverage moves to threaten a lot of stuff on my team. Like with the set I have here, Draco, Sludge Bomb, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower. So it would hit Aegislash, Grimmsnarl, Thunderbolt would hit, my Vaporeon, my Sigilyph, Flamethrower. Like I said, that hits the Aegislash, so it can bring a lot of coverage. This isn't even as, it still gets like Ice Beam, it still gets Flash Cannon, it gets all sorts of things to mess with my team. So it could be trouble for sure. Choice Scarf will be problematic. I'm bringing Flygon with a Choice Scarf, so it should still outspeed either of his two likely Choice Scarf users. Whimsicott's the only one that would outspeed, but if the Whimsicott's Choice Scarf, then that's fine by me, because that means it's not going to be doing all sorts of Stun, Spore, Leech Seed, Encore shenanigans. So I think it's offensive Goodra this time through. If it's not, I still have ways to deal with it. Moving on to the last two slots. So like I said, I think Araquanid's coming, and if it isn't, then Quagsire is certainly coming. And then I think Drapion's coming. Drapion has a good matchup into my team. He liked Drapion last time. I don't see any reason why he's going to change it now. It is possible he brings Rhydon if he wants to set up rocks. I do have Cinderace to court change him, so I don't think it's too likely. And then Frostlass could come as Scarf Frostlass to counter Flygon, but that's really its only use. I have a lot of other things that could deal with it, like Aegislash with Shadow Sneak, or if it gets hit by a Pyro Ball from Cinderace, it's not going to live, that sort of thing. So those two are possibilities, but they're a lot more niche. These are better overall, I think. So Araquanid. Now I gave it Iapapa Berry just because I'm not sure what item he would want to bring. If he takes something else on the Corviknight, it's probably going to be a leftovers Araquanid. It could be AV maybe, if the Goodra's not, but I just went Iapapa Berry because I wasn't certain. I'm thinking he's going to bring Water Bubble, but it is possible he brings Water Absorb. I brought Water Silvally last time, and I have Vaporeon, so he could be worried about water moves. So Water Bubble is definitely the better choice because it gives my team problems with offensive. Like, it makes Araquanid a bit more threatening, but if he's wanting to play defensive, then Water Absorb is the way to go. So it could be either one. The moveset I'm thinking he's going to bring is Scald, Leech Life, Poison Jab, Substitute. I gave it Scald, even though it's got a negative attack nature. Water Bubble still doubles the damage it's going to deal, and the burn chance is going to be nice against my team. Leech Life for some recovery behind the Substitute, and it would hit... I don't know if I have anything weak to Bug. Yeah, not really. But it's a nice stab move that hits some stuff neutrally. Poison Jab to hit the Grimmsnarl, because otherwise it would be pretty free setup aside from the burn risk. So I think it's going to be that. Substitute's a possibility, Sticky Web is a possibility, but like I said, since I have Cinderace, I don't see Sticky Web being that likely. The same reason as Rhydon. If, say he brings hazards and sets them up, then if I court change the hazards, he's forced to go into Corviknight and Gmax to clear them. That's his really only way to get rid of hazards. So it's kind of setting himself up in a poor position if he makes himself Gmax early. So it's possible, but I don't think it's all that likely. Moving on, or I should explain the EVs on that one, especially defensive. If the Goodra is here, it's probably going to be more offensive. But like I said, I'm expecting an offensive Goodra, so I figured that his Araquanid will swap places, basically be more specially defensive. And then last but not least, we have Drapion. Like I said, brought Drapion last time and it didn't do much for him, but it was because I got a lucky burn. So I don't see any reason why he's not going to bring it and swap it out for something like the Whimsicott. The item, I gave it Life Orb. Expert Belt's a definite possibility, or it could even be Air Balloon or Focus Sash or something along those lines as a lead. The moveset, I'm pretty certain this is what it's going to be of Poison Jab, Crunch, EQ, Swords Dance. That lets it hit most of my team for super effective damage. As well as Swords Dance, if it gets one off, it's just going to run through my team. So I have to make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, that's going to be his team. I should say standard Drapion EV's max speed, max attack. That's going to be his team. Let's go into mine, or I should say that's what his expected team is now. For mine, I brought this almost the same 6. I swapped out the Silvally for the Vaporeon, and this is still... We're supposed to play about 9 o'clock, so I might still make a few changes before we get into the match. I'm still debating things, but as of now, this is what I've decided on. I'll update it in the battle video if I do make any changes. But this is what we got so far, so let's start at the top. Sigilyph. It's got a good matchup into his team. It can hit a lot of things for super effective damage, but I switched it up. Last time I just brought full offensive with like Heat Wave, Energy Ball, Psyshock, Air Slash, I think was the set with Life Orb. This time we're going to try something different. We're going to go Psyshock, Air Slash, which is the same, but then we're going to bring Thunder Wave to see if we can start paralyzing some things, because say Conkeldurr comes in for whatever reason, and I paralyze it, instead of it getting burned, that's a big deal. If I can paralyze whatever's Choice Scarfed, whether it be the Goodra, the Whimsicott, the Drapion, anything like that, if I paralyze something that's fast, like the Drapion, that might give me trouble, otherwise that's very nice. And just getting that chance to have something paralyze and miss a turn is a big deal. But then that makes it free Rotom switching, because it would be immune, so I want to bring Ancient Power so that I have some way to do a chunk of damage. And hey, if you get the 10% chance to boost all the stats, that's pretty nice, but not counting on that. Max speed, so that it outspeeds Drapion by 2, in case I need to revenge kill it. I don't believe he gets any priority. Let's see. Boston Bidoof. I could be wrong. Priority, no, Drapion does not, so that lets me revenge kill the Drapion. I'm guaranteed to be faster unless he's Scarfed, and if he's Scarfed, it makes it a lot safer for something like Aegislash to switch in, if he locks himself into a poison move. So that's the plan as of now. Moving on to, or I should say the Psyshock is there for a couple things. If he brings AV Goodra again, it 2-shots it. It does a bunch to Conkeldurr. It hits the, what's its name, Araquanid pretty well on the switch also. Air Slash is there for, if I have to hit Conkeldurr, Air Slash does more because it's based on special defense. The Air Slash also is there for Araquanid. It's my best way to hit the Araquanid for super effective damage. I have other ways to punch through it, but Sigilyph is probably my best answer to it. Let's move on to Mr. Aegislash. Now, last time I brought, what was it? Choice Specs. Aegislash. I had Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, Shadow Sneak, Destiny Bond was the set. So we're going to try a more standard Aegislash, similar to the one I brought last week. We're just going to bring Physical Aegislash, Shadow Sneak, King Shield, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, pretty standard set. With Weakness Policy, he has a lot of things that hit Aegislash super effectively. Could be the Goodra can hit it super effectively, the Rhydon, the Quagsire, the Frostlass, the Drapion. I think Araquanid gets Crunch, the Rotom, the Conkeldurr gets stuff. I think the only one that might not is Corviknight, but I know it gets Power Trip. I don't think it's likely he's going to run Power Trip, but you never know. Could get Bulk Ups off, but long story short, practically his entire team has some way to hit Aegislash super effectively. So we're trying to take advantage of that with Weakness Policy and get some big damage off. Otherwise, standard set, HP, attack, 4 defense, because I'm trying to bring it in on possibly either Drapion or what was the other one I was thinking? Or Goodra, that was the other one. Goodra, because if Goodra is Scarfed instead of Specs, I can get in pretty safely on like a Flamethrower. But yeah, let's move on to Cinderace. So last time I brought Cinderace, I had Black Belt. That gave me fighting damage on High Jump Kick. The only difference this time, I'm bringing Charcoal for the fire damage on Pyro Ball. I do a little bit less on the switch to something like the Quagsire or the Rotom, but I'll do more to about everything else. The Araquanid still takes like 40% on a high roll, even with Water Bubble, so we had to bring Jolly in case of the Whimsicott. We'll outspeed it as long as it's not going for Prankster moves or Scarfed. And then the standard set Pyro Ball, HJK, Court Change, and U-Turn. So Court Change, just in case he's got hazards or screens or something like that, because screens are a possibility on stuff like Corviknight, Whimsicott, so I gotta be ready for that. No heavy duty boots, like I said, not likely he's bringing hazards, but it is possible. So we'll move on to Grimmsnarl. Now, the last time I brought Grimmsnarl, I had a strategy I wanted to try and pull off with Weakness Policy, Fire Punch, where I could Fire Punch the Corviknight, get up the Sun, and then two-shot it, and then let Cinderace come in and take advantage of the rest of the Sun turns. We're going a little bit different. With a Araquanid, I think it's got a better matchup than the Quagsire, and it carries Poison Jab to deal with a couple of things and probably hit the Grimmsnarl. So I brought Kebia Berry. That lets me switch in on Drapion, lets me switch in on to Goodra if it's carrying Sludge Bomb over Flash Cannon, that sort of thing. Lets me switch in on Conkeldurr if he's carrying Poison Jab. A lot of stuff. I debated on Babiri for Steel, because a lot of those things like Conkeldurr and Goodra could run Steel, and Corviknight's going to be Steel for sure, but I'm thinking it's going to be more Poison he's leaning towards, so we're going to cross our fingers and hope we called the coin flip correctly there. EVs wise, the speed is to help us outspeed the Corviknight, so that if we do get in a G-Max war, I can do the damage first, assuming we don't get hit by a Gooey like last time on the Goodra. But otherwise, it's pretty similar. Oh, the big change. I swapped out Fire Punch for Stomping Tantrum to hit Drapion. So I think he's bringing Drapion in on the Switch. That's what we're going to be using. Otherwise, the same. So we're going to Flygon. This one, it's a long story, but basically, when I was talking over our week 3, I believe it was, that we played in the regular season battle with him, he had mentioned that during practice, Special Flygon had given him some trouble, and I was looking it over, and it's not a bad matchup. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's expecting it, because, I mean, he's the one that told me. But I thought it sounded interesting, and I wanted to change it up a little bit, see if I maybe catch him off guard. So, we're going with Special Flygon with Earth Power, Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, and U-Turn with a Choice Scarf. So, I wanted to keep U-Turn on there, even though it's a physical move, just for some pivot priority, because Silvalley's not here. I want to have 2 pivots. Earth Power Draco for stab, and then Flamethrower to hit stuff like the Corviknight. With the Scarf, he's going to outspeed everything except Whimsicott Frostlass. Sorry about that. Let's see, where was I? The moveset. So, Stab, Earth Power, Stab, Draco Meteor, Flamethrower for Corviknight, that sort of thing. Speed with the Choice Scarf lets me outspeed everything except Frostlass and Whimsicott, but if he's bringing one of those, that means one of the more threatening things like the Drapion or the Araquanid's probably not there, so I'm perfectly fine with dealing with that in exchange for being outsped on the Flygon. Otherwise, pretty standard, max speed, max special attack. If he doesn't go with a, offensive Goodra, we're a little in the hole, because he's probably Assault Vest then, and it's going to be tough for Flygon to punch through, but it's not the end of the world, because that means it's not going to bring pressure on other things. Now, the one big change that is something different that I did not bring was Vaporeon. I had Water Silvally, and I've debated on a couple different ones. I've debated on Rock, I've debated on Silvally Normal, I've debated on even bringing Silvally Dragon. But I looked at some of the calcs, and I'm liking Vaporeon as of now. We'll see. Like I said, I still got a little bit of time to make up my mind if I want to switch. So I might go back to Silvally. But as of now, we've got Assault Vest Vaporeon with max special attack. So the reasoning here, Assault Vest Vaporeon takes like 30 to 40, I want to say, from a Choice Specs Rotom Heat Thunderbolt. And that means it can come in, and if he does something else like Will-O-Wisp, or he's not Choice Specs, then we take practically nothing. I mean, in terms of taking a super effective stab Thunderbolt, like 25% isn't the end of the world. And then a Hydro Pump would let us one-shot it. Unless it's a bulky variant, it's going to die as long as the Hydro Pump connects. Otherwise, we've got Scald, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball. It's not great special coverage, but Vaporeon doesn't have a wide enough move pool to bring anything else. The other option would be Hyper Voice, but I wasn't crazy about that. Now, I could bring Choice Specs, but that does mean I'm taking more damage from the Rotom, and I wouldn't live if he's Specs, so I'm leaning towards AV with max special attack, currently. The biggest problems for this, though, would be like something like Corviknight coming in and taking a Hydro Pump pretty well. But, yeah, that's our team builder. Like I said, a couple hour and a half, 2 hours till we gotta go. So, I still have a little bit of time to debate, and like I said, I might put Silvally on here, thinking it over some more, but that is the team as of now. The finals are going to be tricky. I've been doing a lot of stuff today, already kind of tired, didn't have a lot of time all week to put together a team, so this will be one of my trickier matches. I haven't done all the calculations that I usually like to, but I think it's going to be a good battle either way, and it's going to be an interesting one. I am happy that I made it back to the finals, and I'd really like to win my first championship, but in all honesty, I'm not thinking it's going to be too likely. He's got a good read on my team, he's got a good matchup, it's going to be tough to win this one, so the battle video should be up probably tomorrow, if I had to guess, because I'm going to be talking about the result after with some of the people in the league. So tomorrow morning, I would say, would be the battle video going up. So thank you for watching, and wish me luck.